As MotoGP edges closer to a transformative 2026 season, few names generate as much anticipation as Toprak Razgatlioglu. The three-time World Superbike Champion is preparing to take his first steps into the Premier class with Pramac Yamaha, and even before he is lined up on the grid, comparisons with legendary figures are already being drawn. Among them, one name stands out above all others: Casey Stoner. The 2026 campaign promises intrigue on multiple fronts. Marquez's long-awaited return to full fitness, a fiercely competitive rider market ahead of the 2027 regulation overhaul, and several contracts expiring at the end of the season all contribute to an atmosphere of uncertainty and opportunity. Yet, within this crowded narrative, Razgatlioglu's arrival feels particularly significant not merely as a rookie, but as a rider perceived to possess something truly rare. Pramac Yamaha's decision to place Razgatlioglu alongside Jack Miller on the brand-new V4-powered Yamaha underlines the scale of the gamble. Yamaha is entering a critical development phase, attempting to close the gap to Ducati and KTM, and the Turkish rider's adaptation will be closely watched. Despite never having raced in MotoGP, Razgatlioglu arrives with a formidable reputation. 3 World SBK titles achieved with 2 different manufacturers, Yamaha and BMW, a feat that underlines both adaptability and elite-level racecraft. What sets Razgatlioglu apart is not only his results, but the way he achieves them. His riding style, aggressive on the brakes, fearless on corner entry, and instinctive in wheel-to-wheel combat, has long marked him as an outlier. Combined with undeniable charisma and a calm yet intense demeanor, it is little surprise that many already view him as a future star rather than a typical rookie. Among those convinced of his potential is Alberto Vergani, one of the most respected managers in the paddock and a recognized authority in World Superbike. Vergani's resume includes guiding the careers of Danilo Petrucci, Marco Melandri, Carlos Checa, and most notably, Casey Stoner himself. When someone with that level of experience draws parallels, the comparison demands serious consideration. For Vergani, the connection between Razgatlioglu and Stoner goes far beyond raw speed. He highlighted Toprak's mentality as the defining factor. According to him, Razgatlioglu is a champion in the truest sense, fully aware of the challenges that await him in MotoGP and intellectually equipped to face them. Vergani recalled a conversation with Razgatlioglu during the Valencia test at the end of the 2025 season, describing it as exceptional. The Turkish rider openly acknowledged the difficulties of switching machinery, tyres and circuits, yet spoke with clarity and realism about how to overcome them. This self-awareness combined with natural talent is something Vergani has witnessed only in very few riders. It was at this point that Vergani drew a direct link to Stoner. He recalled advice once given by the Australian legend: focus solely on understanding your own bike and extracting the maximum from it. The moment you become distracted by others, you have already lost. Strikingly, Razgatlioglu expressed a similar philosophy when reflecting on his 2025 World SBK season. After struggling with BMW's chassis, he admitted that his breakthrough came only when he stopped complaining and concentrated on adapting his riding to what the bike could offer. For Vergani, this was the moment of recognition. Hearing those words, he was reminded of Stoner's ruthless mental clarity, the ability to shut out external noise and commit entirely to performance. Hence his bold conclusion: for me, Razgatlioglu is Stoner 2.0, the revenge. Of course, 2026 will be a season of discovery for Razgatlioglu. MotoGP machinery is unforgiving. The Michelin tyres demand a very different approach, and many of the circuits will be unfamiliar territory. Moreover, Yamaha is still in a rebuilding phase and may not yet possess a consistently race-winning package. Expectations, therefore, must be tempered with realism. Yet talent of this caliber has a habit of redefining timelines. Razgatlioglu's adaptability, mental resilience and instinctive speed suggest he will not simply be learning, he will be challenging assumptions. Whether or not he ultimately mirrors Stoner's meteoric rise remains to be seen, but one thing is already clear. Toprak Razgatlioglu's MotoGP debut will be one of the most compelling stories of the 2026 season. And if Ergani's instincts prove correct, the paddock may soon discover that this is not merely another talented newcomer, but the emergence of a rider capable of shifting the balance of power in MotoGP's new era. From a technical standpoint, Razgatlioglu's transition will be one of the most fascinating case studies MotoGP has seen in recent years. His exceptional front-end feel, particularly under extreme braking, has defined his World SBK success. MotoGP bikes demand a similar sensitivity, yet punish even the slightest overcommitment. How quickly Toprak recalibrates his instinctive braking style to Michelin tyres will be crucial in determining whether his adaptation curve is steep or surprisingly short. Another key factor will be his working relationship with Yamaha's engineers. Razgatlioglu has built a reputation as a rider who communicates with precision rather than emotion, offering clear feedback rooted in riding feel rather than frustration. This trait could prove invaluable for Yamaha's V4 project, which remains in a developmental phase. In many ways, Toprak may become as important in shaping the machine as he is in racing it. Psychologically, Razgatlioglu enters MotoGP with an advantage rarely afforded to rookies. He has nothing to prove. Unlike younger riders fighting for recognition, he arrives as a world champion, secure in his identity and racing philosophy. This internal confidence often translates into patience, a quality that can separate long-term contenders from short-lived sensations in the Pramac class. There is also a broader political dimension to his arrival. Yamaha's decision to invest in Razgatlioglu signals a shift in strategic thinking, prioritizing adaptability and race intelligence over purely MotoGP-bred talent. If successful, it could reopen the door for other elite World SBK riders to be taken seriously as future MotoGP contenders, altering the established career pathway within the sport. The comparison with Stoner, while flattering, also brings an unavoidable weight of expectation. History shows that MotoGP is rarely kind to those burdened with labels. However, Razgatlioglu appears uniquely equipped to handle such pressure, having thrived under scrutiny throughout his superbike career, often delivering his strongest performances when doubts were at their loudest.